Welcome to Hear In Hanover, your all-access pass to everything happening in Hanover County. I'm your host, Kristen Smith Dunlop. It is November. It's almost time for Thanksgiving, but before you dig into your holiday meal, we're going to dig into the 2025 State of the County Address. And if you're not familiar with what that is, it's a yearly presentation on Hanover's challenges, initiatives, and accomplishments over the previous year. It's presented every year by County Administrator John Budesky, so he is joining us today to give us a repeat performance. Welcome, John.
I'm glad to be back. Look forward to sharing.
All right. Before we dig into that, though, let's talk a little bit about some breaking news that we have. This is not something that we could share during State of the County, but we did very recently, and that has to do with the county's AAA bond rating. Tell us what's going on.
Well, thanks for the opportunity to share this, because we just were able to share this publicly yesterday. The county has, for years, maintained a triple AAA bond rating, and that's from 3 bond rating agencies, and it's a recognition of excellence in how we do financial management and our policies and practices and reserves that we maintain. We have now achieved a 4th AAA bond rating from KBRA, and that positions us, along with our neighbors in Henrico County and Chesterfield County, to be 3 of the 4 counties in the nation to have achieved this designation. And so we are the first region of financial excellence as it relates to having quadruple AAA ratings. And it's really a mark of excellence from the sense of not only those policies, but what does it do for our residents? That's the question, right? Yeah. So, okay, county, you got this rating, and it's nice to say, but what's it mean to me? Well, when you have these levels of excellence, it does a number of things for a community. One, it signals to individuals making business investments in your community that, hey, this is a county that manages its finances wisely, looks out for its citizens' interests, those kinds of things, and is a signal to them, maybe this is a place I want to be a part of. And when you have a region with that kind of strength, it makes us all better. Practically what it does, as we look to make investments in our community in capital infrastructure, public schools, public safety facilities, fire stations, and so on, when we go out to borrow money, it positions us to borrow at the lowest possible rates, which at the end of the day will save Hanover County residents millions of dollars over term of loans, and ultimately reduces that burden we have to shift to our residents. We're always looking to try to keep that cost to our residents as low as possible. And by maintaining strong financial policies, the board has championed that for years. And that policy position has really positioned us well in this, not only Hanover, but nationally now. And so it's something we're extremely excited to share. The team worked extremely hard with the board to achieve this designation, and hopefully it will put us in a very strong financial position for many years to come.
The county works hard to be very responsible with taxpayer dollars.
Absolutely.
Okay, so that is the big news. We always talk about the AAA bond rating during the State of the County because that's an accomplishment in itself. But now to be a quad AAA rated, it's a mouthful, even better.
It is, and it's just something that I hope our residents see the value in. Understanding bond ratings is a very complicated process, and I think my hope is just look, we got your back. We're working on this together. We're looking. We recognize any additional expense that we ask a taxpayer to pay, whether it's an increased assessment or their personal property tax, is a burden. And when we can reduce that burden or limit that burden, that is a goal of ours.
Okay. Let's shift into the overall picture of Hanover County over the past year. I know there have been a lot of projects. There have been quite a few initiatives. What has the past year been like for the county?
You know, the State of the County is the opportunity that we get to share that success, collective success over the past year. And that success is not just one department. It is all of us working together on behalf of our residents. And so I get the honor as county administrator to be able to share what were the successes in our parks and rec and our land use efforts and other quality of life kinds of things and public safety investments. I get to share some of the great things that are going on in our sheriff's office, our partners with our public school system. Dr. Pennycuff shares some perspectives as part of this process. our economic development director, Brandon Turner, joins us in this process to be able to share what are we seeing from a business community investment standpoint. But we also are able to share some of the challenges that we see coming. And so it's really my honor to be able to go in and really share that high level of what we saw were our collective successes over the past year. And we really had many that we were able to be proud of and share with our community during the State of the County, which is also now available on our website and social media for anyone to go back and watch that has interest.
Okay, so what were some of the accomplishments you were proud to highlight this year?
We really focus on quality of life here in Hanover County, and the quality of life here I think is unparalleled. I know we're all biased because we love Hanover, but one of the things that we have been able to do is be very deliberate and going back and looking at the assets we already have. In the past few years, we were able to make substantial investments in revitalizing our parks and recreation facilities. And so anything from parking lot improvements and paving projects to new playgrounds that are accessible playgrounds on both sides of our county, both east and west at Poor Farm and Pole Green, we were able to make major investments there. We made field improvements, fencing improvements, lighting improvements, expanding our opportunities for folks that enjoy any kind of sports, field sports, or as we all know, our highest growing and demand is
Pickleball.
Pickleball. And so pickleball, we were able to make court investments and lighting investments. And so that demand, certainly we're still coming off the excitement and opening of the Montpelier Rec Center, and the demand there has been tremendous. And so between the Rec Center and library, that really has invigorated the interest on our western side of our community. We've heard great feedback there. We were able to share with it. We're excited here in the spring to open Wickham Field back up to the community. So from a Parks and Rec standpoint, we really touched a lot of areas, investments at Courthouse Park and Taylor Park and elsewhere in our community. And we're also wrapping up our Parks and Rec master plan this year that will allow us to identify more priorities in the years to come from that standpoint. From a public safety standpoint, we opened Station 17 this past year, was welcomed with open arms from the community. We were intentional when we built that building. We wanted it to be a building that the neighbors could be proud of, fit into the community, provide higher levels of service to the community, and we've done open houses and openings there that we were able to invite families in to see that building and how it operates and make sure that those men and women that will be working out of that station are part of that community, and we're sensitive to that community. Some of our biggest investments over the past year has been in public education on the capital side. We broke ground on both Beaver Dam Elementary and Battlefield Elementary, both of which are well underway, looking to open those next fall. And we're really excited to be able to stand next to our school partners and open those for the communities. And with the school projects, it's always wonderful to have the kids standing next to you, because that's what this is all about, making sure that we're providing the best quality environmental education for them, safe schools that our teachers can thrive in, to continue the success we're already having, and looking forward to the schools to come as well. So we have Washington Henry lined up and looking at 2 more down the road as well.
Okay, and also want to talk about the Fall Line Trail, because it is just packed all the time.
Absolutely, and if folks aren't familiar with the Fall Line Trail, I've been saying the Fall Line Trail sort of starts and ends in Ashland, but it really does right now, because our league is complete. And if you start at Carter Park, and I know the town has some plans to bring you from right downtown onto the Fall Line Trail, you can go literally 5 miles down into Henrico County right now, across the bridge over the creek, go up to Woodman Road and do a turn. Even novice bike riders can do about 10 miles. Certainly it's available for walking and running and hiking and those kinds of things as well. We're extremely excited. Trails are part of our transportation network. And so to be able to be the first leg of the Fall Line Trail, which will be just shy of 43 miles when it's completed, will run to Petersburg. It will also connect with the Capitol Trail, which will offer over another 50 miles of trails that will connect with. And we're looking at how can we tie this to more residential neighborhoods and provide access and provide that sort of safe, fully accessible, so any of our folks, even with disabilities, will be able to access the Fall Line Trail. It's wide enough, it's safe enough, and so we're really excited about that. But in the same vein, we're also we shared the magnitude of road transportation projects, and as we come to completion on Route 360, which we were glad to get done, we were able to share that Pole Green's coming next, two roundabouts off of Lewistown Road and Sliding Hill are coming, along with others throughout the community. Major investments that we're making in transportation improvements, Atlee Station Road, projects moving forward, widening on 301, amongst all these other roundabout projects that have been approved. There are major investments coming countywide as it relates to transportation networks. So certainly the Fall Line Trail was sort of the icing on the cake of completing that project, but we have so much more in the works as it relates to transportation for our residents.
Talking about things that are in the works, let's talk public safety, firehouses, public safety building, things like that.
Yes, absolutely. Underway right now, Station 14 up in Doswell. We're looking forward to breaking ground on a replacement station there in 2026, looking at improvements to other fire stations, addressing well issues out at Farrington for those folks. But we have other stations lined up behind that. And so we're excited to be looking at what are we going to do with Station 10, which is up in the Air Park area. What are we looking for out in Montpelier areas for replacement stations? So those are all in the works to continue to support the needs of those communities. On our campus here, we're looking at a public safety facility that will co-house both our fire and EMS and sheriff's operations under one roof. And we're looking at complementary training facilities that will support both of those operations. So a lot of exciting things to come in the upcoming year as it relates to those public safety entities and how we can better support our community. And as we complete the public safety building on this campus, that allows us to open up Station 5 again to focus on making that another response station. It's been our offices and logistical operations. We'll be able to put that back into operation to serve our community as well through all of this.
And similar exciting projects as far as schools go. You mentioned Beaver Dam and Battlefield. Washington Henry slated to start next year.
Yes, that's out to bid as we speak. And we're hoping to get some competitive bids and get Washington Henry underway. And then there are two other schools. Mechanicsville has been discussed as a follow-up school in the next few years here. And yet another campus school will be in our 5-year plan. And so the Board of Supervisors have been working hard with our school board partners to look at what needs do we have there, and really making investments to continue those schools of excellence that we've had for years.
And these are projects, these are before and after projects that people are really going to notice. It's not subtle when you build a new school.
Absolutely. And I think it should also be known that, we're being intentional about taking care of all parts of our community. This isn't just an east kind of thing. This is east-west, north-south, and really making investments that benefit all Hanoverians countywide, not just particular areas.
Okay. So what do you see as the biggest opportunity for growth and transformation over the next year outside of capital projects?
Every time we talk about growth, folks get nervous, right? So it should be noted that our growth has leveled off. We're right around 1% growth, and that's been very manageable for us. We're not seeing the number of new housing starts in the county, which is leveling off some of what folks thought was too fast of growth. And so what we're seeing now, we have less lots available than we once did at one time. So you're going to see a tapering off of new certificates of occupancy because we just don't have as many new homes being built. And I think some people will welcome that. So from the growth perspective, some are like, hey, slow down here. But I think there's the other side, which is the commercial growth kinds of things. We're still trying to be very intentional about how we grow. We spend a lot of time listening to our residents in the comprehensive planning process, Envision Hanover. How do you want to grow? Where do you want to grow? And where don't you want to grow? What do you want to protect and preserve and all the great things about Hanover? And so that's always a delicate balance. And so I think from the economic development perspective, we've been intentional not only through the Envision Hanover process, but small area planning. And we've completed a small area plan on Route 33. So as projects come in there, we'll be looking, do they align with what the residents told us in that particular area? We're jumping into one on Route 1 as you come in from Henrico County up to the town border. So we're going to be really intentional about, with our community, what do we want these areas to look like in the future? And what is it that we as a county will do to help them achieve that?
And I think it's important to point out that these small area plans and any of the planning that we do comes with feedback from residents. We encourage everyone to tell us what they want and what they want to see.
Absolutely. And the feedback we get, it's not just we're hearing and not processing. We're hearing it and it's coming to life in the plans. The feedback that we got after 2 years of hard work and the Envision Hanover plan was, hey, we think, with hundreds of touch points of residents, whether it be community meetings, different opportunities and open houses, we really listened. The small area plans sort of bring that down to just a much smaller area. It's not countywide. So, in this 5-mile stretch, what do we want it to look like, kind of thing. And so the individuals in these processes are making major influences to what these areas will look like. And I hope by the time we get to adopting these plans, and based on the Envision Hanover process and the 33, most of the folks that came out when we went to adopt them were in support because we took the time to listen and also show in action, in words in these plans, we've listened and we're putting the citizens' feedback into action.
Okay, let's talk tourism. Country's celebrating a big birthday next year, and this sort of times out perfectly with 250 years, the county's new tourism initiative.
Yeah, thank you. This one we're extremely excited about, and the coincidental timing has just been perfect. And so to be able to raise up a new tourism initiative is exciting for us. And just so folks know that this wasn't an additional tax burden on our residents. How are we paying for a new service? Well, the folks that come and spend time in our hotels, there's taxes on those hotel stays that we collect. We also, and many of our residents don't know that we're a part owner of the convention center downtown. So we meet that obligation. We meet our obligations with Richmond Region Tourism that does the broad marketing of tourism for the region. And then there's funds that are left over out of those taxes that are collected. Those funds are what's funding our local tourism initiative, not out of individual taxpayers. And so in the past year, we were able to stand up a local tourism office. And while we're grateful partners of Richmond Region Tourism, and a lot of tourists don't know where borders stop and end, so they enjoy King's Dominion, and they may enjoy something downtown or in Henrico and Chesterfield or other areas in the region. Tourists don't necessarily know boundaries. However, we have a lot of folks in Hanover that may not be aware of all that Hanover has to offer. And so as we mix that local staycation person or someone's looking, what can I do in my own community? We're balancing that bigger picture of regional tourism opportunities with what do we have in our own backyard? And so we hired a new director, Rachel Smith, and she has an assistant, just a 2-person operation, but small but mighty. We're really looking in this first year of building that baseline. What do we have available in Hanover County? Doing that database of all those kinds of things that we have to offer, building out calendars of events and activities and sharing that with our citizens. We're in the process of doing all that sort of background work right now. In the months to come, our citizens are going to see this really come to life. And how can we engage folks to, if you are an outside tourist coming here, what else can you do while you're here? We have some amazing restaurants and tourist attractions and opportunities. We have a lot of agritourism opportunities in our county. So for both our residents and the outside tourists, we want them to know all Hanover has to offer, and help all of our existing tourism businesses, and whether they be a restaurant or a retail shop or a museum or anything of the like, how can we help them be even more successful? And that's our goal. We want to make sure that folks know all the great things that are going on in Hanover, and how can, at the same time, help those businesses and hotels and all those kinds of accessory travel industry kinds of opportunities grow themselves and be more successful than ever.
Okay, and so we talked about the timing with the 250th and the tourism initiative. more pieces falling into place, so to speak, with the PGA tournament coming to Hanover.
Yes, and this was an opportunity that we had learned of sort of late summer here as we went into the fall. Our very own federal club here in Hanover County has been selected to be the host site for at least the next few years of what's called the Corn Ferry Tournament of the PGA Tour. And if you're not familiar with what the Corn Ferry Tournament is, it is the tournament that each year the top players will receive their PGA cards to be on the tour for the next year. So a lot of those stars that folks are watching right now on the PGA Tour, a large majority of them came up through the Corn Ferry Tournament. And so we're very proud to partner with the PGA, the federal club, our partners in Henrico County and Richmond Region Tourism to welcome the Corn Ferry Tour here next October to Hanover County. And so, with that, there comes a lot of excitement and buzz and energy. Want to make sure that the residents in that area also know that we'll be working diligently over the next 11 months to make sure all the logistics are in place to make sure the residents that live there are well protected and managed, taking care of their needs first, tour second, and working those logistics out. Many folks that are familiar with the old Dominion Cup, they work through many of these issues every year, and so that we're not starting from scratch. There's some experience here. We look forward to working with the neighbors and the folks at the federal club and our partners at the PGA now to make sure this is very successful for all involved and come fall of 2026.
Well, I think it's exciting that this will put Hanover in a national spotlight so we can really showcase what Hanover County is all about.
Absolutely. And unlike the Dominion tournament that was 3 days, this is 4 days, and it's all televised on the PGA channel. So there will be a lot of recognition coming to the region and certainly Hanover County. So we're extremely excited to welcome this opportunity to Hanover.
Lots of good news.
Absolutely.
Do you want to talk about community partnerships and how that plays into the county's success every year?
Yes, and there's the local partnerships that we have with our chambers and local businesses and our economic development authorities and all those boards and commissions that is sort of the heart of our local success. And many of those individuals are volunteers. And so those partnerships right here in the county really help us be successful. I can't tell you how much we value the volunteers, whether it be the Council on Aging or folks that help our Sheriff's Department or certainly Fire and EMS volunteers. Those folks that go above and beyond. We saw it this year when there was a need in our community for sheltering, folks stepped up. Our faith community stepped up. When there was a need for food banks stepped up, churches stepped up. Hanoverians are really good at taking care of one another, and those partnerships have been great. But Hanover is also one of the major players in the region. And we partner quite often with Henrico County, Chesterfield County, the city of Richmond, and even some of the other regional jurisdictions. And so I mentioned earlier, we're a member and part owner in the Convention Center Authority. I sit on that on behalf of the board. Many folks don't know that. Richmond Region Tourism, the regional marketing tool, I mentioned it earlier under the tourism initiative, but Sue Dibble, our board member, sits and represents us there. We have board members that represent us, Mr. Davis, Ms. Pritchard and others that represent us on Plan RVA and Central Virginia Transportation Authorities, our partnership with the Richmond Chamber, and so many more of these kinds of partnerships allow us to better serve our residents, to be able to work together, leverage resources, and really help not only Hanover be the best it can be, but the Richmond region be the best it can be.
Is there anything else you'd like to share about this past year, maybe the year ahead, or just kind of an overall feeling of what's going on in Hanover?
I think one of the things that I mentioned earlier, that the growth is sort of leveling off, and so I think some people are going to welcome some of that. There are challenges like every community will be facing. Housing affordability is going to be a challenge in the region, not just for Hanover County. And so, if you're like me and have a daughter that's 21 now and out on her own, what's it mean for those that work for us to find affordable housing? What's it mean for those that are looking to move into a community? Our median new house price was over $500,000 last year. That's tough for some folks in our community, very tough. Resales were up over 400,000 last year. That's tough for folks to be able to move into a community when that's the median resale price. And so I know that that's going to be a challenge, not only for Hanover, but the region. We always continue to have needs with expanding resources for fire and EMS service calls. Even though our population hasn't grown too fast, because we're an aging community, the number of calls have gone up in fire and EMS. So that means we're providing more service with what we've had in the past. And certainly our sheriff's office has demands, our schools has demands. So how do we keep up with those demands? Most of the schools we're replacing aren't because of growth. In fact, we just got a report that our school numbers are down over projections. And most of the reasons we're replacing our schools just because they're 50-ish years is what the average. We have some schools that'll be between 80 and 90 years old by the time we replace them. They've been good. We've been good stewards of the taxpayer dollar to stretch those buildings as long as we can, but making sure we're keeping up with those investments, renovating where we can, and quite honestly stretching and not shifting that burden to our residents is always a balancing act for us. And so we'll continue to do that. So that's not without its challenges. We know that even if assessments go up and that means someone's paying more, that doesn't mean they have more money to pay. And so we're always sensitive to tax rates and burdens on our residents and where can we help. The board has challenged us again to look at what can we do for those most in need in our community to reduce that tax burden. We'll be looking at that in the upcoming budget. And so there, all those successes we got to share, it's not without its challenges either. But that's what we're hired to do. We're hired to try to find a way to deliver the services our residents expect at the lowest possible cost. And this board has been very conservative, hasn't changed the tax rate in years. And again, that doesn't mean if your value of your home went up, even with the flat tax rate, you may have paid more. How do we continue to look at ways to reduce that burden? And that's a priority of this board.
Unfortunately, everything costs more these days.
Well,
just about everything.
Unfortunately, that's true. I mean, so as folks are looking, Thanksgiving's coming up here, and looking to provide that same meal for their families they did prior years, and other utility expenses, and all those kinds of things. The local government's faced with those same challenges. We buy power, we buy fuel, we buy all the same things that folks do at home, just on a different scale. And those costs go up just to provide the same service next year that we did this year, even if we don't grow in any way. And yet we know that burden can't all be passed on to our residents. So where can we cut? What can we do different? Is always something we look to do to make sure that burden's as minimal as possible.
All right. Well, we appreciate you coming in and giving us a recap on the past year and a little glimpse of what lies ahead for the county.
Well, thank you. And I'm just the messenger, right? I get to share all the great work the Board of Supervisors have done, and our 1,400 county employees and thousands of school employees. The state of the county is our opportunity to really share those successes over the past year. And so I'm extremely proud of all of the school employees and county employees and board. With our volunteers, we've accomplished a lot over the past year, but a lot of great work to come.
And we look forward to seeing that.
Thank you.
And you should let you know that if you want to learn more about the state of the county, you want to watch it or look at the presentation, you can go to our brand new website, hanovercounty.gov/state of the county. You'll find everything you need there and more. That is going to do it for us today. We will see you next month, the last month of 2025. Unbelievable, here in Hanover.